Thank you.
You're on.
All right. Notice is hereby given that a regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Sandy Oaks, Texas will be held on Thursday, January 11, 2024, at 6:30 PM at City Hall, 22870 Priest Road, Sandy Oaks, Texas, where a quorum of the City Council will be present. All agenda items are subject to action. You can join the meeting at the Zoom link found in the agenda. The public will be permitted to offer public comments as provided by the agenda and as permitted by the presiding officer during the meeting by signing up with the city secretary in person at least 15 minutes in advance of the meeting or by emailing or calling the city secretary. Written comments received at least 2 hours in advance of the meeting will be provided for city council for consideration. Madam Secretary, may I get a call to order? Oh, the time is now 6:32 PM. This meeting is in session.
One moment. 6:32. Mayor Pro Tem Alvarado.
Here.
Can you turn it up? Because we can't hear you.
Oh, you
it's
can't?
probably in there. It's on there. So this is not, this is. Mayor Pro Tem Alvarado,
Here.
Alderman Fillinger,
Yeah.
Alderman Rapino,
Yeah.
Alderman Martinez, Alderwoman Martinez, sorry. Alderman Dapper. Yeah,
Alderman Coffindaffer is here.
we have our city secretary and our city attorney. We do have a quorum. All right, please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Citizens to be heard. Persons wishing to speak may sign up with the city secretary in the time and manner as indicated above. Let's see here. Please note that the Texas Open Meeting Act prohibits the city council from responding, commenting, and or discussing items or topics during this portion of the meeting that are not included on the agenda. The city council appreciates hearing from the citizens, and your thoughts and questions are valued. However, civility and sense of decorum will be strictly followed. All speakers are valued. However, civility, well, did it say it again? However, civility and sense of decorum will be strictly followed. All speakers must address their comments to city council. Speakers shall refrain from public criticism of members of the city council that is prohibited by law. This item will be open for up to 30 minutes with 3 minutes to each speaker. One person may speak on behalf of a group. Up to 3 people may register on behalf of the group for the spokesperson to be allotted up to 9 minutes to speak. If there are more than 10 speakers, each will be given 2 minutes or 6 minutes for a group spokesperson. Currently, we do have one person that's signed up to read, Mrs. Callie St. John. Ma'am, you have 3 minutes. It's now 6:35.
Hi, everybody. I'm Callie. I'm with Rise Broadband and I plan on taking all 30 minutes actually, so. We are about to start a construction project here. We had a meeting with the Public Utilities Director and Mr. Mayor himself on Tuesday.
Tuesday. Yeah.
We've all slept since then.
Yeah.
We're really excited to come into your community and provide a really quality service. It's just a really important infrastructure and I know you're, especially being in Bexar County, you're so close to San Antonio. I'm sure you have a lot of growth. And so we're excited to provide that infrastructure for you all to support that community. And we really want to work with you and make sure that we are being respectful of your citizens and your community and make sure that you're being a good partner. And if you all have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Here's my cards. I have 3, so y'all can fight over them later, but
A little louder for us older.
oh gosh, like I know I speak a little quiet, you know, yeah, I do speak a little quiet, but we are really grateful to be a part of this. And like I said, we just want to make sure that we're not only providing a quality service, but also investing in the community. And we want this to be a long-term partnership with you all. So I appreciate your time. Thanks for letting me.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right, moving on to agenda item number 4, mayor and administrator announcements. But did speak to our engineer, and the parking lot project is moving along a little slower than we thought. There have been some health issues with the main contractor and causing just a little bit of a delay, but that should be moving along pretty quickly here. As of now, the Red Mountain project is, I believe, in Commissioner's Court. That should be happening pretty soon, so that'll get, I've been sending some correspondence to those folks. So that should happen, hopefully within the next few months, and then we can get, started on some construction over there. I know one citizen, reached out or made a comment that their road was in dire repair, and so I feel like it's gonna make a big impact for them. Lastly, I've been seeing some buzz about road repairs, and I hear I hear your complaints. I understand your concerns. And we definitely want to make it, we want to push it to the front of the table. Just know that, I mean, in the future, right, if we do want to be aggressive about roads and we do want to be serious about them, the prices of labor and materials is not decreasing, it's only increasing. And so with the current budgets as it stands, the idea of raising taxes always has to be there. So if we are serious about roads and that's what the city wants, I do hope they understand that the possibility of increasing city taxes would be on the docket. But of course, that's for everybody to decide, to vote and make their voices heard. So we will go down that road, but I do hear your voice, I do hear your concern, and we will make that a priority if that's what a lot of people want around here. Myself included, because I live here. So, all right, moving on to the consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered routine by the City Council of the City of Sandy Oaks and will be enacted by one motion. There will not be separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, the item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. Please take a moment to review your consent agenda if you have not already.
This is only one item. I move to approve the agenda as written.
I'll second.
All right, so I have a vote from Mayor Pro Tem Alvarado and a second from Alderman Fillinger to accept the agenda, consent agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That passes unanimously. Thank you. Number 6, the financial report, the income and expenses for December 2023 will be reported by City Secretary Catherine Yelton with possible discussion and or action. I believe she's walking in.
So the general fund as of December 1st, 2023 had a balance of $105,585.51. There were checks and payments of $47,505.65. We did have deposits and credits of $192,216.09. Leaving an ending balance as of December 31st, 2023 of $250,295.85. The ARPA fund on the next page. We had a beginning balance of $490,170.28. We did have a deposit and a credit of $22,500, which was meant for the TDA account. We're ending December with the same balance of $490,170.28. On the back is the actual details of the transactions. Next page is the TDA grant account. Same thing, beginning balance and ending balance are the same, $51,970, and that was there was a transfer from the ARPA account to the TDA account, and then of $22,500, and then bills were paid with that amount. So your ending balance is the same, $51,970. The rest is just budget details.
Any question or discussion on the agenda, on the budget?
If not, I move to accept the budget report as written, as described
I'll second that.
or presented.
I'll second.
Okay, so I have a motion from Alderman Rapino and a second from Alderman Coffindaffer to accept the financial report as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you. That passes unanimously. All right, next on the item is the investment report. Received brief from Alderman Rapino on quarterly investment report with possible discussion and or action. Alderman Rapino, you have the floor.
Okay, looks like we did pretty well again this quarter, with the net, earnings of $1,828.10. So I think that's great, but it's better than what we have been getting. It's more than we did last quarter, and so I suggest that we approve the investment. It average about 600 a month.
Do we want to start maybe looking into moving more?
Yes, I think we should. I mean, this year, no one knows what's going to happen next year. We may want to put some money in the short-term CDs because the rates on the CDs are much better than the 1% we're getting from X-Pool. And I'm getting 5% from some 6-month CDs. I wouldn't suggest putting anything on a CD that is
Long-term. Yeah. Can I charge you with contacting Textpool and see if there's a process to, one, add more, or two, maybe they offer another, an alternative?
Yeah, I think they have another pool that's, I think you get a little better, but it's not much more than 1%.
Okay.
I mean, you could seek out, state approved CDs. You think maybe Frost, Frost has some great ones, I get 5%. I think they are probably acceptable. But
Okay.
I'll talk to them, see what they have.
Yeah, just let me in and if I can help you in any ways.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions? Any more questions?
It's not, I move we accept the investment report for this quarter.
A second.
Debbie.
All right, so I have a motion from Alderman Rapino and a second from Alderwoman Martinez to accept the quarterly investment report as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you. All right, guys, next item on the agenda is discuss under possible action on a resolution 2024-189, approving an investment policy, delegating responsibility and authority and designating an investment officer. In this case, the investment officer will still, potentially could remain as Alderman Rapino. But that's up to you to decide.
Okay, is there any changes in the investment policy general statement?
No,
No, sir.
Okay.
I still did the job.
Alderman Rapino, are you willing to be the investment officer?
oh
for
my
another year?
God, yes.
Okay. Yeah, in that case, I need that we adopt resolution number 2024-189, approving an investment policy and delegating the responsibility and authority, providing for an effective date.
I'll second that.
Okay, so I have a motion from Alderman Fillinger and a second from Alderman Coffindaffer to adopt the ordinance 2024-189, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Sandy Oaks, Texas, approving an investment policy, delegating responsibility and authority and providing for an effective date. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you. All right, moving on to agenda item 8A, 8B. Fortunately, Chief is on a call right now, doing his duty to our citizens, so we will move past 8A and B. All right, looks like also 9A and 9B is not here, so we will move past that.
You don't want to put a corporal under the bus on 8 a.m.
No. All right, moving on, Parks and Recreation.
Above his pay grade.
Yeah. Parks and Recreation, update and announcement from Park Advisory Committee Chair Alderman Rapino with possible discussion and or action. Alderman Rapino, you have the floor once more.
Because of unforeseen circumstances, I didn't make the meeting, but, Alderman Cylinder did, so I would hope that he might be able to elaborate on the past meeting Tuesday.
that there was not a lot of business discussed other than the Christmas activities were just really outstanding this year. The games are continuing and the community center's really doing well down there. That's about it.
Yeah, and the next park meeting would be on February the 6th,
February 6th.
6:30 p.m.,
6th.
6 p.m.?
Yeah.
Thank you.
We changed it to 6 because they have activities going on at 6:30.
Good move, good move. All right, any more discussion? All right, we can move on. Discuss enter possible action on ordinance 2023-228, amended the annual budget. Actually, I just want to talk about that. So the idea was to true up the budget from the 2022-2023. So basically amend it to where it zeroes out. However, in speaking with the our external auditor, they recommended not to do that annually. Instead, if there are major line items, we can amend those to add a line for it. However, they don't recommend us truing it up, zeroing it out annually. So in my opinion, I think that's the method that we go forward with because it is an approved budget. So making amendments to true it up is not necessarily, nor is it very transparent. So that's their take on it. And I just wanted to bring that up for discussion.
And I would tend to agree with that.
Yep.
Because as you prepare next year's budget, you really need to look at what happened and why.
Yeah. Overages and shortages. So.
And if we keep adjusting it in the year, it's kind of hard to keep track of that.
I agree. All right, so we'll move right along.
That's let's move public works up and allow our director to go home if she so chooses.
Okay. Moving right along to now then 13A, updates and announcements from Public Works Director Priscilla Schmidt with possible discussion and interaction. Ma'am, you have the floor.
Good evening. The animal ban that y'all passed and approved for purchase from federal surplus. That is up and running, and it's been like the city logo and the animal control sticker is, it looks really good on there. So I will have to end up with a paint job probably on the cab of the van. The paint job is really bad. So right now we have like the magnetic sticker on the sideboard. Until I can get some quotes to get that painted. The public works truck, the F-250 is also marked with our logo and public works on the side of the truck, which is really nice.
Permanent or magnet?
Great deal. Both of them under 5 minutes.
Cool.
Yes. That's it for right now.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, moving right along. 13B, discuss enter possible action on hiring a part-time employee to fill position in Public Works. So I know you're probably questioning why we're looking at hiring a part-time employee. and I guess it wasn't. Yeah, actually, we'll jump back eventually. So, part-time employee, right? So the reason why I decided to bring this up for discussion is because, in the previous items, which we'll go back and discuss, the idea is to bring on a part-time, animal control officer because our animal control officer did go full-time. And so then in order to alleviate some of her, responsibility and duties, especially on the weekend, I'd like to bring on a part-time helper for her. Now, that being said, how do we fund it? Well, considering, we're now 4 months into the year, my thought was to split a role, which is the third position for Public Works, in half. And for at least the time being, so that way we can have both an extra employee there and an extra employee in animal control. And basically help both sides of the department. Could be two different people. It could be one person working both sides. It's really however, if we find a good candidate that wants the full-time hours, they can work both of them. But the initial thought is to hire two people, in my opinion, and then we would then figure out the budget part, at a later date. If both were good candidates and wanted to go full-time.
If we were to hire one person and they were willing to fill both positions, that'd make that a full-time employee, which also started the cost for the insurance and benefits and everything that the city has to. Because I thought we did the part-time thing to let a person find out this is really where they want to be at and help the city save a little bit of money on the back end. And then when they do go full-time, we're full-time with them as the city goes. So I don't see one person filling both positions, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think it could go many ways, right? So, I mean, it could be that we just have to, we go with the idea that this is a part-time position and kind of just let it ride, see how it goes. If it is the right position for them, then, we offer it up full-time. And same thing for the animal control. I mean, it could be the same process. It's not the best idea, but I don't have any more ideas.
I'd like to address it.
Sure.
Okay, yeah, number one. Our public works department works hard.
Mhm.
I've watched the people in the field and I've watched Priscilla. Yeah, so. And I understand if we hire part-time, it's less expensive. But I really don't want to see that money taken for public works. If we want a part-time animal control officer, quite honestly, we're budgeted for another officer. Let's look at, I would rather see a police officer tasked with those
Other
duties than a public works employee.
Yeah.
I'd have to disagree, only because the police officer's job is to patrol the city for safety. And I get it, dogs are safety. But I don't need our officer looking at a dog and the house down the street's getting robbed.
Right, but you're saying a public works part-time person is gonna do animal control.
No, they don't have to.
Okay,
Now, if they
so
decide,
you're hiring two part-time.
correct,
Okay.
correct. If they decided to, hey, Priscilla thinks this guy's a good worker, then, but we also need the help on animal control, then we can split.
That's
Quite
what I'm asking.
honestly,
Yeah.
quite honestly, if you go back to the public works director position, she's tasked with that already.
Mhm.
And, previously, our public works has came in and relieved the animal control on the weekend.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I'm just,
It's a lot to ask another full-time employee to come in on the weekends.
comp time and schedules, sir. And again, the tasking was that Public Works and the police chief would task that weekend duty to one of their employees so that no one person is, you have to be here every weekend.
Yeah.
I just, okay. I will say it one time real clear. I am opposed to a part-time public works employee because we've done that in the past. It has not worked. They don't last because most people looking for a job need a full-time job with benefits. Yeah, I have no problem with hiring somebody under probationary status. But permanent part-time employees just, they don't last.
No, that's not the
Well,
case. They're not
It
permanent
wasn't
person.
that what the animal control officer at presently
Yeah.
was part-time, she went full-time.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean,
She didn't have. an issue with
the
that.
same concept can apply.
That's what I'm saying, because I don't think that, I honestly don't think you should have one doing both, because you have two heads of departments telling them what to do. And I think that would be taxing to them and they would leave.
Yeah.
And because one says one thing, one says another thing, and didn't finish over here because went over there. I don't think
Yeah,
that's
and
right on
that's what
that.
we have had Public Works / animal control. About one individual.
And it didn't last.
And
But
it never
he had
worked.
said two
Never worked.
part-times.
Yeah, it would be two
One for
part-times.
public works and one for animal control. And I think that would be best because the full-time animal control has a say-so over the part-time animal control, and that's them.
Yep.
That's, they're doing their responsibility.
I agree.
And then your police department.
I'm not speaking against a part-time animal control officer. I'm just saying that,
They shouldn't do both.
no, I'm just saying that the part-time Public Works employee, we're budgeted for a third employee.
And,
And I think we ought to maintain that.
okay, so
because
what you're saying is you want a full-time public works and a part-time animal control.
that would work for me.
I know that she needs the help.
And
I mean, there's a lot to be done.
So my other idea, but around this, or how I justified the idea, is that we've also made an investment in equipment around here that should alleviate a lot of the responsibility that is within our public works department, or at least make it easier.
Well, it alleviates or makes it easier, but how many people can do it at one time? We need
True,
more people.
true. No, and I
Yeah.
don't disregard that fact,
Right.
right? That it does still take three people.
May I give you a simple suggestion on this?
What's that?
We do it like we did with the animal control position. The individual comes in for an interview for DPW with the understanding they're on a probationary 6-month part-time basis. If they decide they want to stay past that, then we can offer them a full-time position.
I mean, because she has the budget for it, for
She
her
does.
full-time employee,
Yeah.
and so does animal control.
But animal control does
Yeah.
not have a budget for a second person.
Okay,
And I
they
don't,
have, they have a budget. That's what I'm saying.
no,
And because doesn't the police department oversee the animal control?
Yes, they have a budget.
they have a budget for a third officer, not an animal control officer.
Right.
So I'd rather not pull from the police
Mhm.
because I want a full-time
Mhm.
third police officer. I want 18 hours of continual Sandy Oaks PD on patrol,
Mhm.
right? We're not at 24 hours yet,
Right.
but I want that amount
Yeah.
of patrolling on our people. I don't want to call and I get Bear County. I want to get our local PD
Yeah.
to respond to our calls when possible.
So there isn't any other funds that were not utilized last year, that maybe that whatever department can say, hey, you didn't use your full budget, maybe you don't need that much, because
It's
I think
possible.
you need both.
Yeah, it's possible that we can go and cut budgets, but we're doing the same thing, right? We're robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Right.
So if all departments don't have a problem with taking a cut on their materials and their supplies and whatever they need to buy, well, let's do it. I'll put the time and effort in, I'll put a budget out and we'll amend it, right? But without having to cut the ability to go out and buy stuff for not the community, but to keep our departments running, This is the only way I can see it that would make sense. Like I said, we,
Two part-timers.
right, and on top of that, the third person has been gone for 4 months now. From the moment that that person put their resignation, there should have been an active search and there has not been.
Mhm.
Okay, now granted, we go into the holidays and granted, we went into winter or fall and winter and a lot of things go
Why there
dormant.
hasn't been an active search there.
I've already tried
But
to
isn't
address
that
that, but
right?
now it's resolved, right?
Mhm.
But that means there wasn't a need for that person for 3 months out of the year.
No, I think that's unfair. Isn't that the case with the police officer also? I mean, we've had it up since forever.
There's,
I mean, you
that's
can't
a hard,
blame the-
that's a hard, but that's a hard position to fill, right? They gotta have a
As
PECO
is the public
certification,
works, sir.
but a police officer is not gonna easily accept the salaries that we provide, given the amount of risk that they take
Right.
on. A public works,
But if we don't have present citizens applying for these jobs, it's gonna be hard to attract someone from outside for any position here. So that's the case.
Sure.
Where are we posting these job openings at? We've discussed this in the past,
yeah,
on the board behind me, it's a nice place to post it.
Police department control.
Okay, where is that at?
Equipment and supply.
no, that's not here,
Let me get
but it's like TML,
Are we
it's
doing- But are we putting it on Indeed? Are we putting it out there where Glassdoor, the
Animal control.
websites that people are going to?
yeah, I think it was Indeed was one of them and then TML, right, for the police officer at least. Now, Indeed, or I forget what the chief said, whichever one it was, it returns candidates, but specifically states must be T-Cole certified. And so he gets, candidates that are on paper okay, but don't have the minimum requirements.
Mhm.
So that position, it has been out there to fill, but again, filling a police officer position in this area so far from town with the salaries that we can provide
Mhm.
is difficult.
Right.
But again,
Very
that's not, we're not
Very
talking about
difficult.
police, so.
I mean, you're correct, but that we can't do anything about that.
Yeah.
As is in any positions. I mean, we've had other positions come up and
Yeah.
how long did it take us to fill those? And then keep them.
Yeah.
We keep it running until we find the candidate that wants to do the work. DPW would be a full-time position now. I'd have to agree with Charles on that one. I'd like to say we start them out part-time, but even 6 months part-time. I think we have a better.
I think if we have
opportunity
two separate
Oh,
people,
definitely
would be
two separate.
best.
Sure.
If you want to start them out at part-time and then they can, they have a choice to come full-time if they like it and they stay and they're gonna do the work, but I think a part-time help would be some help. I know you want them full-time, but I mean, we could only
I
start with what
just-
they
I
wanna
just-
do.
We might attract somebody. in
Okay,
town
let me ask a question. Did you ever live in any World War II barracks?
Yes, sir.
Those were temporary barracks. We were only gonna do that for a short time.
And they stay.
And,
boy, did they ever.
and moving in positions also is the same way. Well, we're gonna do a part-time position and grow him into a full-time position. But if we move the funds,
Mhm.
we won't have that option.
I don't believe that. I
we
believe
weren't-
we can move the
Build up
funds
the
and build the
funds.
budget.
Build up the funds.
Because how long is it gonna take to find this position? One, right?
Right.
That's the that's the question nobody can answer.
And that's exactly my point is we should have money in the police budget to hire a part-time animal control for the rest of the year.
Mhm.
So you're gonna go no, I'm not gonna say that, but you're gonna go remove money from the police department.
Well, right now.
There
we
should
don't-
be already
The
a
money
line.
should be there because we haven't had a police officer in position.
So you're removing
So
a
it's
police
not-
position to
No,
fund,
no,
yes, that's
no.
exactly
But
what you're
can we
doing.
build it up for
That's
the animal
exactly what
control
you're doing.
officer also, like you're saying for the public works?
Again, we can
Eventually.
build up both positions. Well, we can build up the animal control,
Mhm.
but is everyone gonna accept a budget that calls for slashes, for cuts?
Well, it's not slashes, you said we could build it up because of new money.
But where am I gonna get it now? That's where we'd have
We're not
to,
gonna hire right now.
Well,
we're not gonna hire
I
animal
mean-
control. I mean, you know what I mean? Like
It's gonna
We-
be a while.
possibly, right? Yeah. So I mean,
I think we should approve it and work on it.
Approval.
to
of-
hire two. Because even if you offer a full-time position, they might not stay.
And then on the other hand, you know, we've been without that employee for 4 months. That means we have 4 months of full-time budget.
Mhm. That's true also.
That should still be in the budget,
That's true.
It's just sitting.
okay?
Mhm.
So, I mean, October, November, December.
But now that,
We're into
Miss-
January now.
but now
so we
that the
have-
other one
we
went
have-
full-time.
33% of the annual budget
Mhm.
that we have not
In there.
paid for an employee.
Mhm.
So, you know, I just,
Another thought. Another reason why I would like to see the DPW position put as a full-time. We have some very skilled individuals in this community. And if you tell them, you can get a job here at the city with your skill set. Manufacturing, creating, whatever it is that you've got. But it's gonna be part-time, they're gonna say no.
Mhm.
They're gonna keep trying to do what they're doing to the best of their abilities.
Because it's full-time.
Exactly, but if you tell them, you come on board, this is a full-time position with the skills that you have. And you also get these benefits, we might get some people to start applying. Because a lot of these skilled workers that we have, the problem they run into is. Their biggest concern is they cannot afford the insurances for their families. They cannot afford the benefits. And so they work 24/7, as I see it, 7 days a week, trying to get by the best they can. So for DPW, that position to try and get somebody from here in town, I'd put that down as a full-time position. And I bet you anything would have a better opportunity to find somebody in this town that can fill that position. Because we definitely got the people that can do it. I've
Okay.
seen a lot of the work in the neighborhoods.
I mean, and if the majority wants that, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that, right? I'm just trying to come up with a solution on how we help both departments. It's a bit of a detriment right now, but we would work through it, right? But that's fine. If we don't want to do that, I have no problem.
Well,
We can.
I think we can compromise and say, let's do full-time animal control. I mean, Public Works, do full-time.
Well, let's,
and then-
hold on. Let's close out B then, right?
Okay.
And then we'll go back to eight B, which is what you're talking about. Okay, so then if there's no actions, then what do we do? Just let it drop at that point for 13B?
Tabling it or
No, there's no,
then
it
just-
sounds like the majority doesn't want it, so,
then just no?
No.
okay,
part-time.
so then no
We
action,
just want
right?
it as a full-time.
Right, so no action, because it was never full-time, I mean, it was never part-time, so no action.
Okay.
All right. So then, all right, we're done with 13. So then let's go back to 9B. Right, so now let's go back to what Mayor Pro Tem was saying, discuss enter possible action on creating a position for animal control and establishing general duties and related matters to new position and establishing procedures for hiring new position. Right, so this is one, how do we create the position, right? There is no funds for it in animal control. I don't want to remove money from the police department, from a police
Sure.
officer.
sir, can I just address that? for a
If I could finish, I don't want to remove funds from a police officer's role to fund a part-time animal control role. Yes, now you can go ahead and address it.
We're 33% into the year.
Mhm.
Have we had that officer on for the last 4 months?
See, terminating? Oh, sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. November, so 2 months. It'll be
Okay.
it'll be 3 months.
So if we hire a new officer tomorrow, we still have that 2 months of full-time officer pay in the budget. You're not taking. I mean.
Reduce.
But you're gonna reduce the budget on paper.
No, we're not.
Yes, you are.
I'll show you how.
No,
go ahead, Joe.
that's not-
It's still under the police department. You're moving it to animal control out of money we have not
Mhm.
spent.
Mhm.
And the odds are real good, sir. We're not gonna spend that money for another month or two. How many applications do we have right now that are legitimate for a police officer?
Mhm.
I bet the number's 0.
10 to
Okay,
1?
I'm just saying, sir.
Huh?
We're not spending the police budget
But on paper,
Where-
you have to take dollars from that line and move it to fund the next position.
Okay.
Yes or no? Yes or no?
Here's your thought. No, and I'll tell you why. How long was our animal control officer part-time? 6 months?
Yeah, 6 months.
Okay, so half a year's salary was not paid to her, correct? That means that we have a half a year's salary open to be paid to somebody else to be part-time for the next 6 months.
No,
And that will kick the can down the road where we can fix the budget if that person decides to go full-time. So the money is there without having to move from the police side to the animal control side.
But it's
The money is still there. We're gonna wind up having to pencil in another person, but the money's already there. Because our animal control officer was working part-time until now. So half the money hasn't been used.
well, not quite true, sir, because we're in a different
Year
year,
now.
but
Mhm.
I figured since we were rolling over from the last fiscal year, we just roll it right up with
No, no, no.
everything else.
doesn't work that way.
I know, we just sound.
Yeah, but I mean, look, the reality is that if I gave you $100 and I took 50, you still only have 50. And then when it comes time to reconcile, you only have 50.
Mhm.
So if we take $10,000 from animal control main position, because she hasn't used it, and move it down, now come at the end of the year, that balance is gonna show $25,000.
Sir,
And
but
not
at
a
the
$35,000.
bottom- At the bottom of the
Total.
budget,
Grant.
when it says net income, moving money between those line items and adding line items
Okay.
is not going to affect net
The bottom.
income.
You're right, but then when are we gonna find more money to add to it? That's what I'm saying.
Making more money?
No, no,
Not
we're not.
anything.
I mean, what we're
Not on
banking, what we're
taxes, not on-
no, because it's
not
all
on
budgeted. It's all
Fees, no
approved.
revenue, nothing.
I mean, the
We're just
idea is,
staying the same.
the idea is that the budget that we passed is what we will receive.
Mr. Mayor, are you trying to say you don't wanna have to reconcile this budget later on this year because we put somebody else to work?
That's not what
That's
I'm
what it
saying at
comes
all.
down to.
I'm saying from an accounting standpoint,
I'm not an accountant, I'm just wondering.
there needs to be more money put into the budget.
Well, sir,
Moving line items is
Moving
not
out of the
gonna do
general
it.
fund, Put it in.
sir,
Huh?
from a redneck standpoint, because I'm not an accountant,
Right.
we're coming up with 10 years of being a city. Not once in 10 years has the end of the year budget matched
Match.
the proposed and adopted
And from
budget.
400.
And that's why,
And the Lord God knows that no other city in this county and no other county in this state and no other state in this union
That's ever.
has ever
Down.
had a balanced budget that matched the adopted budget. I'm sorry, sir.
Plus.
and that's
plus,
not,
if we
and that's
just
not
need
something I wanna
10,000,
bank
like you
my
said,
career on, that we don't
We
balance the
just need
budget.
10,000 or 25,000, like you say, why don't, we have 490,000 in our fund.
Mhm.
I don't wanna use that to fund positions, and I'll tell you why, because it's not permanent.
It's not
But I'm just
permanent.
saying.
It has to be dedicated by
To
the
that.
end of this year.
Let's vote on it.
And I believe that money should be on capital assets.
Okay.
Not on personnel.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve hiring a part-time person for DPW.
No, we already,
For
no, no, no,
No.
Control.
I'm confirmed.
well, hold on, we gotta discuss.
I made a motion.
Okay,
General duties and related matters.
yeah, we're not ready to do that. We need to come back with a
Well, we're just running.
create the position, duties.
Can you withdraw your
hours.
motion?
I mean, we're not ready to
We're just
hire.
running in circles.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
because-
so why don't we,
We're
why don't,
creating a
motion then.
position.
Why
We
don't-
need to make it, we're just
We are
arguing back
creating
and
it.
forth.
Yeah.
We're not getting anywhere.
yeah, why don't we? If y'all want to, we can table it and talk about it
Yeah, why don't we do that?
at another time. Cause right now, she's got a good handle on it, but I think it needs to come up again.
Yeah, well, I'm not opposed to that,
Does anyone
and,
ask?
but let's.
Included any employee in the conversation? No? They
Ask-
don't need to?
Ask what? Ask who? That's one. Ashley?
Well, okay.
Never mind.
Let's address it, let's let's address this at our next business meeting.
Okay,
Sounds good.
I can agree with that.
And, I'd like to see, proposed duties and let's create the position.
10-4, we will table item 9B. All right.
Is it
Uh,
the same with the public works? Did we table it to bring back something different?
For Public Works, no, that one, we just
Because it
dropped
was
it
part-time.
because it was part-time. We don't have to vote on
We
it.
Probably need the public works director to say just what they need. and
So
what
that's
they
a
want.
different agenda item. Let's move right along to new business.
All right, so new business, agenda item 12A, I'll try to speed it up. Discuss center possible action on spending program recommendations. Nothing to approve. However, a bit of a discussion. I did have a meeting with their engineer. We visited the stops, the 5 high volume stops. He's come up with an idea of crosswalks, flashing lights, or flashing signs. And he's gonna work on a proposal and speaking with our city attorney. We'll have to put 4-way stop signs on the agenda in the future because that's also what our engineer recommended for those stops because they are only 2-way at those specific intersections. So we will talk through that at a later time, unless y'all have more questions regarding that conversation.
No, I
with-
think that's a great program. We need to move forward with it as quickly as we can.
Okay, so as soon as I have something physical to provide, I'll present that.
Okay.
Okay, discuss and or possible action on hiring outside party to complete a reconciliation. You didn't provide the backup for this, did you? The 2 invoices that I sent you, the 2 quotes? Yes, I did. So there were 2 quotes that I sent, however, they're not present today, so let's table this one.
No, I
Um,
can follow it up with next week with them. I'm gonna log into my email.
During the dead of silence, I'll ask, where are we gonna get the money to pay for this? What department has money coming out of?
The crosswalks?
No,
What department's that money gonna come out of to pay for the, no, the
No.
monthly reconciliation?
Monthly
the
reconciliation.
budget.
Uh-huh.
That's a part of it, right? Is that we'll have to do a bit of a slight cut to everybody's little budget, $50 here, whatever it may be, because it's only based off of the items or the invoices, it's like $300 a month, at least on one of the quotes that I sent. So. I mean, you want to keep a good book, record keeping system, or do you want to?
I think we should move that from the police department donut fund.
Well, it's
They don't need me, though.
mandated, isn't it? Because of, we want diversity.
Yeah, it
in
is,
our-
it is an open audit item that is there annually. So I mean, it'd be nice to have that. But hey, that's up
But
to y'all.
money
too.
hasn't been spent all this time?
Money hasn't been
We
allocated.
get docked on it every time we have an audit because we
Don't have it.
have some.
So are you saying we can't move on this because we don't have
The quote, it looks like one of the quotes is up here.
okay.
I guess.
No, this is something that we all did agree on that we had to do anyway, because yes, we do get hit on every
Is this one of
inspection.
them?
Yeah, that's one of them. So that one's $3,600 from,
For the year?
yes,
Okay.
JD and Associates to reconcile our monthly bank statement. So $300 a month, 12 periods. And then it might have been at the bottom of that. No, it wasn't there. That wasn't from Jesse. It was from, can you look up Laborde? Laborde.
LABORD.
LAB. Audrey, yeah,
This one?
yeah, probably. That might be the statement.
I don't.
40.
No, that's the statement. Yeah,
Where's the?
yeah. No, it was in a separate email.
This looks like ADP.
Yeah,
Talking
yeah.
about ADP doing it?
No. It was Laborde. It was that lady Audrey. But you don't have it from me.
Audrey at Laborde CPI.
No, I know, but I'm saying you don't have it from me sending it to you.
So if we don't have the information. so
Yeah.
like that, but let's move that to the
All right,
next business.
we'll go ahead and table that for now then.
And then at our next meeting, can we have in the financial report, the status of budgeted items spent and where the money is?
I can send that out.
Right, well, if we're gonna be moving money next month, we need to have that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so then moving on to agenda item 12C, discuss or possible action on amending the city's fee schedule. I think we're gonna table that one, correct? Okay. As we don't have all the fees built into the table just yet.
Then we'll post on that to the next.
We will post that as
So
well.
raise everything 25%.
Then I may.
We need to-
May I have one thing to
Take
say?
the trick clock on
Okay.
it.
On the agenda item about amending the budget for 22-23. You're not doing any amendments. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, we can go back
So the
to it.
line I just wanted on the recorded one. Meeting. That the line items I added. Are not approved and I will not be held accountable when we are audited.
The line items that you added before the before the budget or the amendment was approved.
No amendments. were approved.
So why did you add line items?
Because I needed a line item on where to put, for example, the opioid abatement fund.
I got you. Okay.
It wasn't on there when it was filling the budget.
Is the,
Well, that's all.
well, okay, no, you're right, you're right. So in the, no. in the- Hang on. So in Jesse's email, he said we can go back and add significant items. So we can go back and do that. We're just not gonna true it up, basically to show a zero, right? So we can,
I'm just saying,
She just wants to.
yeah,
and in honesty, I think you should take over the budget. And I can send you invoices and you can manage it. The answer was actually a true amendment is not uncommon in the government world. There's perhaps some value in at least having council bless it after the fact. But if I were you, I would not bother with it unless there's something really significant. So I don't know what the auditor feels is significant.
I mean, I feel like $6,000 out of a $2 million budget is not significant,
The 250,000.
but yeah, that is significant.
So are we saying it needs to be amended? Because I'm not spending any more time on it if we're not going to do that.
And we can amend it at the next one.
Okay.
Right?
Provide me your amendments and I'll make sure I include them in the meeting agenda.
Charles, you ready?
Yes, I move we adjourn.
All right, it's now 7:25. We are adjourned.
That's it.
It's-